wealthy comes with its share of responsibilities, and ideally, being hypocritical is not on that list. After all, being a wealthy hypocrite is a dangerous combination. But then again, we do not live in an ideal world, and time and again, stories of hypocrisy leave us enraged. This one is about classic hypocrisy on part of wealthy democratic countries in the global north. As per a report, they are using harsh means to clamp down on climate protests. And what's worse, at the same time, they are criticizing similar harsh tactics being used by authorities in the global south. How convenient, right? Pointing fingers at others over something that you yourself are doing. Let's tell you more about what the report says. This is a Climate Rights International report. It is titled On Thin Ice: Disproportionate Responses to Climate Change Protesters in Democratic Countries. According to the report, democratic governments should stop using increasingly harsh, overly broad and vague criminal laws against climate protesters and activists. It focuses on how governments are imposing lengthy prison sentences, engaging in preventive detention and filing criminal charges for trivial offences against climate activists. The report documents the increasingly heavy-handed treatment of climate protests in Australia, Germany, France, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Sweden, the UK, the US. It demonstrates how governments are violating their legal commitments to protect basic rights to freedom of expression, assembly and association while cracking down on climate activists. That is what the report basically talks about. The thing is, the threat of climate change is no longer a distant one. The climate crisis is here already. Extreme weather events have been becoming the new normal in different parts across the world. The escalating impact of climate change and frustration with governmental inaction are fueling protests and anger. The aim basically is to raise awareness and press for action because, well, there is no backup planet B, only planet A, that's planet Earth, that we need to protect, save and preserve for our future generations. According to the Climate Rights International report, many countries are using old legislation or enacting harsh new laws to restrict the right to peaceful protest and impose disproportionate penalties. The report exposes the increasingly heavy-handed treatment of climate activists in different parts of the world, like Australia, Germany, France, the Netherlands, Sweden, UK, the US. As per the report, these governments frequently criticize developing countries for not respecting the right to protest peacefully. So there you have it. Isn't that classic hypocrisy at play? According to Brad Adams, Executive Director at Climate Rights International, you don't have to agree with the tactics of climate activists to understand the importance of defending their rights to protest and to free speech, and that instead of jailing climate protesters and undermining civil liberties, governments should heed their call to take urgent action to address the climate crisis. Also saying that governments too often take such a strong and principled view about the right to peaceful protest in other countries, but when they don't like certain kinds of protests at home, they pass laws and deploy the police to stop them. According to Adams, the crackdown on peaceful protests is not only a violation of their basic rights, it can also be used by repressive governments as a green light to go after climate, environmental and human rights defenders in their countries. In fact, the report has several examples of developed countries hailing the importance of the right to protest on the global stage, but at the same time resorting to harsh and punitive crackdowns at home. The report noted record prison sentences for non-violent protests in several countries, including the UK, Germany, the US. Let's face it, the need of the hour is to take swift steps to save our planet. But the report finds that many relatively wealthy countries have instead focused on those trying to stop those raising the alarm by taking part in protests and civil disobedience. In simple words, the demand made is to have democratic governments around the world stop the crackdown and safeguard the people's right to protest. After all, those fighting to save our planet are fighting to save all of us, all of humanity and our future generations, right? To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.